We're talking about a leader's guide to handling problems, failure, and life crisis. A leader's guide. Now, why are we talking about this? And you might say, hey, I'm someone who knows how to handle problems. I've got a thick skin. I weather things well. Well, in reality, as you grow in your leadership capacity, as you grow in the anointing, if God puts his finger on you and begins to use you, the old adage, which, it's not so spiritual, but to every new level, there's a new devil. This is true. Problems and challenges are the order of the day for any significant leader, especially in apostolic ministry. Really, when life is designed in such a way to give birth to more life. So plants give birth to more plants, we are designed to increase because that's the nature of God. He is a life-giving God, and life increases. This is the way God functions. And, you've heard the saying, more money, more problems, more people in a church, more problems, more children in the house, more problems. Life that multiplies gives birth to great blessing, but great problems. And with great blessing come great problems. And, great leadership just invites problems. Well, one of the reasons is so that we can solve problems. This is what we're called to do. We're problem solvers. But there's a really powerful scripture that Proverbs chapter 14 and verse 4, that says, where there are no oxen, the manger is empty, or the stall is clean. I like that version better. Where there are no oxen, the stall is clean, but from the strength of an ox come abundant harvest. So this is such a profound law of life right here. I love the book of Proverbs. If I could only choose one book of the Bible to carry with me on a deserted island, it would be the book of Proverbs. I find the whole Bible can be found within Proverbs and Ecclesiastes, generalizing there. But where there are no oxen, the manger is clean. What this essentially means is where there's no oxen, there's no animal there to make a mess. It's sort of like if there's no people in your church, you're not going to have problems to deal with. So sometimes tired pastors will say, man, I would love ministry if it wasn't for the people. However, the way by which you come about success requires people. And so then when it goes on, but from the strength of an ox come abundant harvest, meaning the way by which you come about abundance is through the oxen, but the one side of the coin is the mess you have to take into account. And so success is messy. The road by which you come about fruitfulness is messy. The road by which you come about abundance brings challenges, brings problems. I mean, this. I'm sure, Toy, and you could attest to, as you're growing in your financial increase, there's just more challenges to deal with, more things to work out, more staff. As your company, your business grows, more staffing and that need talking to, that need, oversight, just more things, more problems. So if you don't like the mess, fruitfulness and success is probably not for you. However, we are called to go from just dreaming about it to actual execution. We are called to be fruitful, to multiply, to fill the earth. So the way by which we come about success or fruitfulness, there are going to be problems and there's going to be lots of failures. There's going to be even life crisis at times that God allows so that we can develop a thick skin. Why? The thick skin is not, the challenges that we face are not just so that we can have a better character. And that's a good enough reason to have problems right there for God to allow things. But in actual reality, the reason why God allows you to go through trials and tribulations is that so you can develop a thick skin and an endurance to be able to handle the greater success down the road. The fullness of your destiny, here's the principle. The fullness of your destiny requires a kind of character and thick skin that you don't have today. So you have to allow these things to work out something in us so that we can lay hold of the greatness that's coming, tomorrow. Success, this is the principle, success demands a price we're not willing to pay today. Or we could word it this way: tomorrow's success or tomorrow's results demand that we pay a particular price today that we're generally not willing to pay. So God has to take us through trials, tribulations, challenges to build up an endurance to handle the fullness of your call. If you don't have that endurance, and that endurance comes through trials, tribulations, problems, failures, as you gain wisdom, as you develop character, as you build endurance, you are able to handle the success that's coming for you tomorrow. So we open up our arms as leaders that say, yes, I want to change the world, as leaders that say, I want to execute the fullness of the vision God has given me. We say, count it all joy, my brethren. When you go through various trials and tribulations, knowing that all of this produces an endurance that allows us to carry the burden of tomorrow's blessing. I want to give you another scripture today, 2 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 4. This is 2 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 4 says, no man that warreth entangles himself with the affairs of this life, that he may please him who has chosen him to be a soldier. Let me repeat that again. No man that wars, no man that goes to war, entangles himself with the affairs of this life, so that he may please him who has chosen him to be a soldier. This is military talk here. When you're a soldier of God on the earth, you have a focus, and you don't allow yourself to be deviated from the focus to the minutia or the things of this life. You have an eternal perspective. This is really key to handling the problems and failure and life crisis. You see, I'm just going to give it to you in this workshop because this is a leader's guide to handling problems, failure, and life crisis. But we have to have, there's a certain level of focus you need to have to be able to endure things. There's a certain level of perspective of eternity that you need to endure persecution. There's a certain perspective and vision you need to endure the late nights and the stuff that comes at you as you're developing your calling. It's not easy. It's messy. The road to this execution of our calling and purpose is filled with problems, failures, life crisis. So our perspective and focus has to be sure. I can't underscore that enough. That you have to have a different mindset. This is why it says, for the joy set before him, Jesus endured the cross. He saw something. Everything God the Father does in the present, it's because he's seen something in the future. We as high-level leaders, as level 5 leaders, we must be those who see something. And this produces an inner motivation and focus to lock in to your calling and purpose, undistracted. I have watched great leaders who I've had the privilege of being around. I've watched them endure challenge, and the way they are able to continue along the path of their destiny with a focus and a work ethic and a raw faith in God, despite outward circumstances that would break most people. This is leadership. This is leadership. So I want to give you another principle here, or a commission. Make a conscious decision to mentally be willing to accept any problems and challenges that come, no matter how devastating or painful. I'm not talking about accepting the devil's attacks, but I'm talking about things like when you have a prayer life, you rebuke the enemy, you're living on top of the enemy under your foot, but God allows something. That's what I'm talking about. Make a conscious decision to mentally, this is where the battle will be. That's where this thing takes place. It's to, when the devil comes at you with issues, when life throws things at you, it'll be to shake you up here. Make a conscious decision to mentally be willing to accept any problems and challenges that come, no matter how devastating or painful. And when we say accept, we're not just martyrs, woe is me, trotting through the trials, but we're accepting them What I mean by that is perspective and posture. Mental perspective and heart posture. Mental perspective and heart posture. When you go through certain challenges relationally and with people, you got to protect your heart. Heart posture. That's where bitterness is going to try to creep in, that makes you self-destructive. Bitterness and anger with people is going to creep in, that's going to make you hard on your staff, that's going to make you hard on your family, that's designed for you to disconnect relationally, for you to fail in emotional intelligence, for you to hate the very oxen that are there bringing you prosperity. Okay, are you catching what I'm saying? And then the mental piece. You've got to see some challenges in life crisis can be so traumatic and betrayals that you've got to be able to have a certain mental position and fortitude as well. You have to have a perspective on problems. This is why I'm teaching this. If you don't have this foundation, you will mishandle the storms of life. You will mishandle Jesus in the boat during the storm. You will mishandle the opportunities that come by way of challenges. You will mishandle the mess of the oxen when abundance is in your tomorrow. Hallelujah. No matter how devastating or painful. Now, when I say that, again, the clause I'm giving is we're talking about only if they're going to make you stronger, or if they are for they're for the betterment of your calling, so to speak. Okay, and I may touch on a few things I went through almost a decade ago now, 7 years ago, I think, and what the Lord spoke to me during that time, because it was unrelenting on every level, family level, friendship, colleagues, betrayal, slander, gossip, misunderstanding. I mean, everything you could possibly think of, pretty much. And there were times when I desperately cried out to God, and for 6 months I never heard from him on the subject. Can you imagine? It's like, Father, why have you forsaken me? I never heard a thing, but when he spoke, I had all understanding. And so I may jump into that a little later here, because if I do now, it'll take us into deep waters, and we're taxiing down the runway a bit here. Let me give you another principle to write down. Excuse me. Live by this philosophy. There are no real problems in life, only opportunities. There are no real problems in life, only opportunities. In reality, you can find the seed of opportunity in every problem that you go through. I often say the following: problems are really opportunities wrapped in a negative looking package. Problems are really opportunities wrapped in a negative looking package. And sometimes in our live trainings like this, I will actually challenge people to try to give me a problem that is so devastating, and and around the room they're throwing problems at me, and I'm revealing to them the opportunity within each problem, and even the purpose or potential purpose. And it's amazing to watch pastors, leaders, ministers weep as they find out what opportunity is in our challenges and our problems that we face, and even in our failures. You've probably seen some good memes out there that say, like, fail fast and as many times as you can. Where those things come from, that's not just inspiration or trying to look at the bright side of failure, but failure really allots an experience and a wisdom that you can't find through succeeding. And failure teaches you so much on so many levels, that failure actually are stepping stones to success. And most people who become successful, and let's also use the word fruitful. Some people don't like the word success, but when you become successful or fruitful, oftentimes it took the amount of failures you had to go through taught you how to finally find the way, the path. Most millionaires have lost millions on the way. Ask a billionaire about the millions he's lost. Ask a multimillionaire about the millions he or she has lost. And this is just the way by which you come about success. It doesn't matter who you are. They will all tell you, whether you're a famous musical artist or uh, wealthy, successful person, CEO, they can list for you failure after failure after failure. So what's the difference between the successful and the unsuccessful? Is there are those who will embrace and handle and leverage failure, and those who won't. There are those who aren't afraid to cross that point of no return when something doesn't succeed, and those who retract from the pressure of a point of no return and shrink back to their comfort zone where they don't have to face failure. Failure is key. In this guidebook I'm giving you here today, failure is key. Let me give you another principle to write down here. Within every problem is a seed of solution. Within every problem is a seed of solution. You see how the perspective is different? I'm trying to impart a mentality to you and to come at it from different angles. And so I've given some philosophies here and some principles here to begin to shape your mind. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm trying to shift your mindset and impart to you a new life philosophy that you wouldn't have if you didn't have understanding and even go through trials, tribulations, and challenges. Now, the American philosopher Napoleon Hill, who was also a great philanthropist, said and if you're writing that down, that's Napoleon Hill. Napoleon Hill, American philosopher and philanthropist, said, a successful person is one who clearly sets his goals and moves towards their achievement regardless of external obstacles. A successful person is the one who clearly sets goals and moves towards their achievement regardless of external obstacles. Somebody just write that in the chat area there, because some people may be writing and they want that quote. Just put that in the chat area there, either Bruce or someone there. A successful person is the one who clearly sets his goals and moves towards their achievement regardless of external obstacles. Let's continue down this road of the mindset of a leader who handles problems, challenges, life crisis. The history maker mindset is this. Try to discover how to find blessings within problems. That takes a rewiring. Most people have a default setting when problems come to fear, insecurity, quitting, quitter mentality. All kinds of things kick in, self-preservation, comfort, a desire for comfort zone. But a history maker has a mindset that is always looking and searching for the blessing that's within those problems. Okay, so I lost this, or I failed in this area, I lost some money. Now I know what to do differently next time. Okay, I gave out too much information to this person, they used it against me. I know a little better now how to gear myself. This issue happened with staffing or with the team. I know now that they need more relational, hands-on, once a week basis. Or this person was supposed to accomplish this task and I expected them to do it. It didn't end up getting done. Okay, we're going to create an evaluation form that our staff hands in on a monthly basis, a progress report. You see, these problems that we face bring about great changes within our organization in our life. So the history maker's mindset is not only to discover how to find blessings within problems, but how to leverage those problems for our benefit. How to leverage problems for our own benefit. We also seek to discover how would a wise man tackle problems. We're looking for strategy. We're creating and developing strategy within the problems that we face. Also along the lines of the history maker's mindset and philosophy towards problems, we should be looking to solve problems and at the same time remain focused on our goals. A lot of people, when a problem comes, and I'm talking to, especially, my forum is mostly pastors usually, and oftentimes when a problem comes, they shut down their vision entirely. They were on the road to executing the vision, and the devil knows exactly what to do. You're stepping into execution mode, and the devil says, you know what? I want to keep you in the vision stage. I'm going to create a fire so that you run around in a panic and put all your focus on the fire and the problem. And your vision never is accomplished. It's never executed. There's always another problem. There's always another challenge that's going to be there. You have to learn. I'm sorry, leader. You have to learn to do both. You have to put on your big boy, big girl pants and handle both. Great leaders are problem managers, problem solvers, and still lead their organization, ministry, or movement towards the goal and reach the goal and stick to vision, to execution at the same time as solving problems. This is why leadership is not meant for the weak or the immature, so to speak. So great leaders, they're looking to solve problems at the same time maintain a focus on their goals. Also, they continue to be driven by their goals regardless of what's happening around them. Driven by their goals. They're not taking too much time off and sulking. They don't need long periods of time of introspection in the heat of battle. They were born for this. They have budgeted some emotional energy for the crisis. They have budgeted and laid aside. And this is why it's a good thing to have a schedule that allots for some family time and for some breaks, a day off, things like this. Some of you just are looking at me like, let me tell you something, guys. I have sat down with some people 60 plus years of age who have done extraordinary things in the world. And now they're paying a very high price for not having set aside family time, for not having budgeted time for emotional rest. And their bodies are broken, their minds are broken, they can't cope with stress. Arthritis has kicked in, mental issues, sleep issues, immune issues, digestive issues, family issues, all because it was all great running in the heat of the battle at the beginning. And I'm a history maker. I don't sleep, I don't eat, I don't quit till the work is done. Listen, the high-level leaders that last and leave a legacy, yes, they have that ability, but they also are organized in how they budget their time. I sat with a particular leader who I was so lucky to get this time with, blessed to get this time with, and I sat with him and I said to him, was it worth it? All of that, in leadership, was it worth it, handling all those problems, all the things you go through to accomplish what you accomplished? And how do you explain the pain and stuff you're going through now? Like all the challenges your body is facing, everything now, because they had some challenges. And this is a Canadian leader. And so it's within our cultural context. And he said, Derek, I never budgeted for the troubles. All my time was spent, on the project. And I was so borderline exhausted and running all the time that when the big problems came, big staffing issue or betrayal or whatever, when the big issue came, he said, I didn't have the emotional energy and fortitude to cope and handle. And so what it did was it just wore him down over time. The attacks, the phone calls, the stress, when you're in the thick of it, the emails, the back and forth, the laying awake at night, the warfare prayer, everything that we all do, you're worried about your children, you're worried about this and that, and it's all coming at you, and you handle it for a while, but you don't realize this machine is designed to wear you down slowly. And you're rising, you're ready to fight this battle, you're rising to this occasion, and you don't know you're losing incredible amounts of emotional energy that you didn't budget for. However, you would have been able to cope if you led a lifestyle of day off, prayer retreat, family time, and dare I say it, I'm sorry to use this term for all of you great leaders, a balanced life. A balanced life. Listen, to everything in life, there is a protocol. To every forum, there is a behavior. To every situation, there is a wisdom. So you've got to learn how to be the kind of leader that when it's play and rest time, you rest 100%. When it's work time, you work 100%. When it's family time, when it's dinner time at the table with your family, you give 100%. This is not easy when you've got stuff going on. That's why you've got to learn to shift gears and be flexible in the challenging times. I watched my mentor as we would go through many different things. I've gone to the police station with him to be arrested and thrown in prison. I've been with him in family time. I've been all around different situations, and it was remarkable how he could shift gears from a major high-level leadership situation or even a court situation, then be in the vehicle with his children and some other leaders around, and he would go from one person to the other, making sure they feel comfortable, welcomed, heard. And, I would see him go from a discussion with the visiting leader about something in their life, and I'd think, man, how does he have the emotional space for this? I would be just exhausted after the meeting we just came from. And then he'd go to his daughter, and she would have just had some McDonald's French fries, and he'd say, how do you like them? How many fries did they give you? What do you like about McDonald's French fries? And I'm like, what? And to her, that conversation means the world. She's included in that moment. And this is the cost of leadership. This is what it means to be a person of value that changes the world. It is all about problems, challenges, and being able to weather during the tough times, okay? So this is a mindset. This is a posture. This is a practice. This is like, a behavior, a learned leadership behavior. You may even say today, look, I wasn't born with that kind of fortitude. I don't weather certain things well. That leadership component wasn't found in me when I was born. Well, be what John Maxwell calls a learned leader. A learned leader is one that learns along the way. And we learn from trials, tribulations, challenges. That's what causes us to develop a thick skin. Remember, anybody can be trained. People can be trained. And God uses the tough times to develop us in this way. So these kind of people with this mindset steadily move towards their goals despite the management of problems and challenges around them. Now, you'd find it interesting to know that often great leaders are even attracted to problems. They like to problem solve. This goes all the way back to our godlikeness and our godliness, where when the earth was void and formless, boy, I'm about to get preaching, the Spirit of God was attracted to the waters. The Spirit of God hovered over the waters and was creating and recreating and renovating. God is attracted to the problems in our lives. And in the same way, there's a mindset of certain CEOs and great leaders that they are this way. Johnny Bergeson, CEO of Kingdom.com, one of the largest, if not the largest, Christian distribution companies in the world, Fortune 500 company twice over. He is the type of guy that on his way to his office, like with big fish to fry that day, if there's a maintenance man working on a light bulb, he will stop by this man and inquire about like how the light bulb could be fixed and how it's going, and does he need, maybe he could help this man. They just are attracted to solving problems. If I even hint that I have a challenge around my dad, and it's not just because he's my dad, other leaders do this too. If I hint there's a problem, they just want to go in there and solve that. That's the mindset of great leaders. Some, in fact, will fire their, not subordinates, but their employees if they never bring problems to them. I know that employees are supposed to be problem solvers for the leader, but if you never express and give hint even to problems you're facing in your organization or ministry, or problems or challenges you are in the midst of solving, some of these high-powered CEOs will fire you. because they suspect that if there's no dirtiness of the manger, there's no working with oxen. They suspect that some stuff is not getting done. Okay. And there was a quote of a CEO that said, if the director or head of a department doesn't report problems to me, he is fired. Woo. So for us as Christian leaders, it takes great wisdom to be able to turn problems into blessings. In fact, not everybody can see the opportunity amidst the crisis. COVID-19 hit. Some of us saw opportunity. I did. This has turned out to be one of my most productive times in my life, the COVID crisis. It allowed me to take advantage of resting my body from years of constant travel in different time zones and holding intensive trainings, flying back home and keep running. It allowed me to rest my body. It allowed me to restructure our ministry. It allowed me to learn some of the skills I need, online technical stuff, to be able to do ministry in 2020 and beyond. It allowed me to create a new program and partner with some other ministries to help pastors and leaders bring their church online. These were things I didn't know. I didn't even know how to log into this. And I didn't know what a ring light was. I was like, what's a ring light? I didn't know I needed one. I didn't know the screen needed to be tilted this way. And I just had no idea about anything. And I saw an opportunity here. I got into video editing. I loved it. I was making my own videos, doing my own, there was so much prosperity in this season because of the focus that came with finding opportunity amidst crisis.